Hello and welcome to Drew's Book Reviews. This is awesome. So today we are going to have my first ever authors on my channel, and this is really exciting. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while. We have Jahmil and Jahmar Effend, and we're also joined by Epic Talez. His channel is linked below, so check that out. Epic Talez is also an aspiring author, and we are going to talk about War in the Fallows by Jahmar and Jahmil Effend. They were kind enough to send me a copy of their book for me to read and review, for which I'm always happy to receive a copy. So thank you guys so much for being willing to send this for me to read and review. Really appreciate it, and I'm glad you let me know about this because I did really enjoy this book. And in fact, I've read it twice now, once originally and once leading up to the stream to get a refresher on the story today. So Jahmil and Jahmar, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and you two could decide who's going to go first on that.
All right, my brother can start it off.
All right. I'm 25 years old, Jahmar. I'm glad you enjoyed that book because we worked pretty hard on it. And yeah, man, I've been pouring my time into writing ever since graduating college and entering the work world. We do it every day. Me and him have a great relationship. My brother Jahmil, we have a great relationship through this writing. So something we definitely are excited to share with the world. Definitely glad you're helping us do that.
And no problem. Glad to have you on, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm Jahmil. I am the older brother in this situation, just by a little bit, a couple of years. I'm excited to be on in general. We thoroughly enjoyed War in the Fallows and creating the High Council series and writing in the world. Right now, I work at a university in Connecticut. Finished with my master's degree last year in counselor education, student development, and higher ed. So I work at a college, and it's pretty cool. And I feel like there's a lot of the book draws from that knowledge of counseling and education. So I hope we can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Like without I just want to get straight into it. Because I'm gonna ask you like the first thing that came to my mind after I read the book. Like, why only was it 200 pages? Like, the scale of the book is just like, it was way too big for just like 200 pages, you know. Was it like a conscious decision to have that amount, or did you feel like after you wrote it, like this was enough for like the first book?
I think for us it was conscious. We were deciding on how long to make the book, and we were like, let's introduce this concept and see how readers like it. Are they interested in the concept? Because we thought kings and queens becoming gods and having to deal with that as they grow up, and then that idea of being an imposter, we thought it'd be interesting. And then with the story we wanted to tell, we were like, we don't need to draw this one out because there's a bigger one that we want to tell that we feel like needs more attention. So we wanted to get the first idea out, get that first thought, and then once we knew that it could work, we were like, all right, now let's tell the big story.
So you guys were basically playing it safe, like sorry,
how we were gonna traverse this ourselves, and then and I you know what, I would consider it playing it safe in a way, because now entering book 2, we've been playing a little bit more with like what we can do and kind of pushing the envelope. So there's certain things that we wanted to try out and just see if it would be well received, and some of it worked out. So we just wanted to take it as a learning experience. We didn't want to kind of draw it out too much. And like you said, that particular story, we kind of wanted to start off with inside, in that conflict, or at least right as it's beginning, have you go through that and leave you with some questions that we can kind of answer in a bigger narrative.
So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What I love. Sorry, Epic.
No. Go. Like, if you let me, like, I enjoyed reading the book, but there were just some things that I was like, why? So if you allow me to, I'll just take over this whole interview. So like, anytime you get an opportunity to ask a question or talk, just know it's because I'm letting you. Epic is letting you do it.
Yeah.
But, so go ahead.
So one of the concepts I absolutely loved about this is that as you mentioned, this idea of kings and queens becoming gods. Now, what's really interesting in this that I love the way it's. I mean, we've got so many fantasy novels out there that are kings and queens, and gods are part of the world. But the gods are often these superpowered beings in the background. They're not typically the royalty ascended. And with this book in this series, you have the royalty ascending to become or worshipped as gods. But at least in this volume, there isn't a lot that I can say that really says, wow, these people actually have God powers. Now, I believe you said earlier, I think it was Jahmil said, you're going to have to read and find out with the rest of the books if they really have these God powers or not. But I love that idea where these people are set up to be worshipped as gods, but don't actually have the power. So there isn't really a magic system in this, what I would certainly call fantasy, but without the magic system. I love that concept. So what was behind that creative choice? Because typically when you put gods into it, there's some kind of supernatural godlike powers behind that that is involved with a god being a god. So what was the inspiration behind gods not having these powers? Or maybe something I don't because it's coming in the next books.
Go ahead.
I like
So,
No, for me, like I feel like okay, I thought you were telling me to go ahead. I will not interrupt you. Please go.
Oh, go ahead.
So I initially I don't want to project the intentions, but I feel like the idea of the story and specifically how it ended, like I feel like
Love the ending, by the way.
yeah, I loved the ending. I was just like, yo, but like I feel like it was an intentional decision, and it brings up more mystery by the end of the book. Like it brings more mystery to who these god ascendants are. And like I'm super super curious as to why you made that particular choice in a fantasy book, and yeah.
I think for us, a lot of it was the questions that it brings up. Without having the confirmation in book one in any given scene, you get to interact with certain gods, Aaron's father in particular, but you don't know. And I think by having the reader not know, and also having the setting not require you to know, it made our ending that much more interesting, in my opinion, because it's the first time that whatever happens, and how that ending sets up the future of that world, I think is why we really wanted that. And then there's also the conflict on the opposing side with other religions and other factions that exist, that we want people to be able to speculate for themselves how real or not real. And we just finished I finished one of the manuscripts for the first book or second book, and the idea gets to be explored that much further. And I think with the more information that is to come, things will start to become more clear, even though more questions will be created.
Oh, we've got a question from a viewer here. I'll just pop it on screen. How many books are planned? It says Andrew's Wizardly Reads.
So Andrew, in general, we're planning a trilogy of sorts, but we will be having companion novels built out throughout the story, because we do have a lot of smaller stories we want to tell in the world. So right now with book two's release, we're planning to both release a piece of it, so that we can explain things in a way that gives more time to the characters. We wanted this to be epic, but we don't want it to be too not digestible for certain folks. So there's a piece of that that we're holding on to.
So I kind of feel a bit I kind of feel a bit differently, right? Like and of course how I feel doesn't really matter. I'm just a reader of the book. But the skill of the book itself, right? The amount of politics, the amount of what is going on, is this a propaganda? Is it not a propaganda? So there are times when I'm reading a book, right, and then the circumstances in the book, right, forces the characters to reveal more of who they are as characters. like the events. I feel so. I was reading the book, right, and I got to it was like like it was like I was enjoying it like that, and then it went like that towards the end. And when I'm like, oh shit, and then it just left me wanting more. And
Yeah.
the skill, I feel like the skill of like I could have kept reading this book like for as long as it took me to finish it, even if it was um like 500, 600 chapters. Why? Because of why? Because like there's just so many questions you're asking yourself, and I feel like one of the things that made it very interesting, the both of you don't seem to be fans of exposition. Y'all did not tell. Y'all were just showing and revealing information through dialogue, which I really really liked. You know, I feel like I've read books that like they try to pull that off, and like, and when I say books, I'm talking about big books. They try to do like just purely exposition, and then what happens at the end of the day is that the book just feels like all over the place because the readers do not have any context to like understand what is going on. But the dialogue, like you pull the dialogue well in terms of like revealing information. Um, but I feel like the book was just too small. I'm sorry, I'm coming back to that again. You know,
I
I,
honestly, I could agree with you on that, Epic. And I think I mentioned this in my review that there's so much with the characters that I wanted to know more. It's
yes,
that I knew so little, but I want to know more, and I could see so much room for expansion
so
in the
much
story to create a
potential,
bigger
so
book
much
and so
potential.
much potential.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
So,
definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that because I think that's a really although obviously we want to make more, we want to write more. So I definitely know that the length was the one thing that a lot of people commented on because we do leave you on that note at the end where you're just like there's so much left and there's so
yeah,
much that could have
yeah,
been explored.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can't emphasize how much I love that ending, and it was just like awesome. I
I
loved
know,
it.
I
I'm not going
know,
to say what it
I
is because I
know.
don't want to spoil it, but it
My
was awesome.
my dude was getting gassed up. Then it's like, oh shit.
So you ended in a way that we know there's going to be a sequel.
Yeah,
Because if
yeah.
this was a standalone book, I would be raving mad. Like, how dare you
I
end it
know,
like that?
I know. I would find you. You know, like like damn it. You know, what's the name of this misery, man? I'll lock you up
Yeah.
in the basement and make you right. but yeah, like I enjoyed the book, and like personally, like it's just exciting seeing black fantasy writers like
Yeah.
that encourages me so much. You know, like I don't know, there's we did people don't usually associate black people with like fantasy, you know, but like see you guys doing it, and this like, am I correct to say this is your first book?
Yes.
Like, god damn it, man, like I really really, you guys have something going, man. You guys have something going for real.
I will say we have agreed that me and him were the type of people where we can just kind of keep writing. We can get a lot out pretty quick. So we haven't harped on page count so much as we did in the first book. So I can imagine the second book or the the future renditions will be larger. Just because even the stuff that we're working on now, I'm noticing that it's we're telling a lot more story. We've been focusing on the word more actually, because we've been hearing that a lot. Just as a review for this book in particular, it's the word more that we're often coming across.
100%.
Whether it be companions or this next book, probably expect to read it more at once. Definitely.
On a technical note, you know something I'm excited about in the future books? I'm excited to see how your prose like develops because I saw like from the way you guys wrote, like there were some you guys have you like done any like poetry, like have you like
Yeah.
yes, I can kind of see that. Like I'll be honest with you, when I first started reading it, I it was like my brain needed to adjust to like, it's like my brain needed to adjust to what you were like the style of language you guys were going for. um so yeah, like I'm really like I'll be honest with you, right? I feel like the prose could be better. it's good right now. It could be better, and I want to see how you guys develop. But then something else that's impressive, and I actually want to understand, is that how did the both of you like coordinate it? Because I was trying to see, knowing that like okay, it was two different people. I was trying to see if I could identify when there was a switch. I don't know. Were you guys like switching? You write this
I was
chapter.
going
Were
to
you
ask the
guys
same
writing?
question.
Were you guys writing like? Were you guys writing like different point of views? Like, were you like? What was the? What was your? How did you
So,
guys coordinate it?
yeah, as we shared work with each other, we did try to make some of it, try to make it align the way it sounded and kind of read, but we didn't shy away from being a bit different from each other in the ways that we wanted to kind of express ourselves creatively. Um, we did separate it by POVs, and then we went back in future manuscripts, and we both assessed each other's characters and did editing with each other. But yeah, we took up lead writer roles. So Jahmil was lead writer for Aaron and Asher, and then I was the lead writer for Simon.
Oh,
Ah,
Yeah,
awesome.
and then the more of the formulaic way is we actually took a lot of our angles. So if he wrote something inside Simon's story that I thought was interesting, I might expand on it and add a few of my own prose or my own thoughts or connect even more because we talked so much about each chapter and each character perspective. So he would give ideas on Asher and Aaron about different things that we should touch on more depth. We can go on different scenes. So then he shoots some lines in there, and by the time we were done, you get the full effect at the very end.
oh, I see. Because I was trying to see if like I'll be able to identify like when the switch up happened, but I could very vaguely tell that Simon was written by someone like wasn't the same person that wrote like mm, Aaron, yeah. Yeah, I didn't know who. I wasn't sure. I wasn't with Asher. I was like, I don't know who wrote this because he has like a very very specific tone, and his character is the way his character is. I don't want to spoil anything, but like yeah, like I could kind of tell just a little bit that Simon was written it wasn't the same person that wrote Aaron and Simon.
Yeah, and part of that was
That's
also
crazy.
part of it was on purpose because especially with Asher's character, we wanted to write him in his own way. Like you can feel like this is Asher reading his own narrative about what's going on with him. So even some of his prose and some of his comments and his thoughts, all of that is very much him. And then that by itself ended up making Aaron and Simon read differently because Simon's slightly different. It's in terms of sentence length, even the way he describes the world. Aaron has his own way of approaching things, but he's more in the middle than even Asher would be.
Yeah, and
You'll
those
probably
fight scenes were intense.
Yeah.
You'll probably notice a bit more difference in the next bits of writing because even as we're evaluating each other's manuscripts, we both have worked a lot. We're very humble writers, so we go back and hit the drawing board just like like day one. The main intention of book one was to learn. So for me, what I realized was I wanted to get deeper myself in just reading more fantasy too, because I was like, I could learn from even other writers, obviously. So I became obsessed with, Brandon, but also Wheel of Time, and Robert Jordan's my number one inspiration. So
I did notice that there was a character named Logate in the book. Was that?
so book two, I'm almost completely inspired by Robert Jordan in the way that I try to go about prose and write. I that's now my favorite author. So changes like that'll happen just naturally as you progress in your writing career, I guess. But also in your reading career, I'm like maybe 4 books in now. I think I'm on the 4th.
Right.
Yeah. So
I'm glad you actually said it because I was just recently did like an interview with a creative writing professor. It's very different from like what you get like in a university. It's very unconventional, and he was saying that like he was talking about some writers that do not like to, like they don't read from other writers because they don't want to be influenced by other writers. They want to be pure, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, how can you like there isn't reading and writing is a co-creative process. Like, even if like I'm creating, if I'm reading a book, because I'm interpreting the characters in the way that my imagination works. You know, it might be different from the
Yeah.
way your imagination works, and then being able to like get inspiration from a writer like Robert Jordan, who is like right up there as
Oh
far as I'm
yeah.
concerned. Right up there as far as I'm concerned. It's like it's very encouraging. Like, I'm really really like I'll be reading your books 100%.
I just wanted to learn. My focus really on in that regard was I want to learn. And we both really talked about it. Kind of just tell the story itself better in general. Just telling the story better. Rather move away from serviceable writing and try to entertain with the way we're going about telling the story. Because I think we're pretty solid when it comes to plot now, and we just want to be able to write it and have someone enjoy that and just reading it. You know.
Yeah, and I think that's
I love
always
characters. So
yeah, that's always that was one of the strengths that we had early on with just plotting in general and trying to get that piece. I think for prose, I've also been I've been reading a ton of Brandon Sanderson.
Ooh,
So
wow.
right after we finished the book, I started reading Way of Kings. So I got through that whole book, and I was like, wow, just being able to
oh man,
follow that story and see the way he describes the most
Makes you more
mundane
excited
items.
to write.
Yeah, it makes it. Now I'm reading Elantris, so now I'm trying to get through that
Kings
story.
was amazing, man. Loved
Yeah.
Stormlight Archive. One of my favorite. See, Epic hasn't read Sanderson yet, so we're going to get him to do that next month because he needs to read Sanderson.
Yo, I like, honestly, I'll be honest with you, but like I'm very, very I'm not skeptical, like, because a lot of reviewers that I trust have said, yo, Brendan Sanderson is like really good. But yeah, like the hype is real, man. Like I really
Yeah.
I really, because even you're like, this is a random comment. Everywhere I go, Brandon Sanderson. I'm interviewing two guys, Brandon Sanderson. So let's see.
Oh, the hype is real, man. Sanderson is awesome, and just
And the people that have read Brandon Sanderson are not afraid to hype him up. So I'm just like, okay, because like when you're giving a review, like you have to be careful. If you say a book is good and it turns out it's not good, then everyone starts doubting your recommendations.
Yep.
But everyone is just like, Brandon Sanderson, Brandon. So I'm like, okay, let's do it.
You gotta just do it neutral. Say, don't make it sound good or bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible.
Is Joe Abercrombie at this point? Right, because we're leaning into a lot of the grimdark elements of the fantasy world too, because you're gonna get that in this kind of a world. So we had to hone in on that too a little bit. Yeah, Joe Abercrombie, Robert.
What I love about Joe Abercrombie, I read the first Law, and it was not a perfect book by law. It wasn't perfect, but the character work, my God, the character work is
just
I'm really like, just you guys telling me about the books you're reading, the books you're trying to like learn from and like get inspiration from. Like, I'm really really encouraged, because honestly, I was just a little bit angry that the book ended like so quickly. The scale of the book is so.
Yeah, the way we
so
refer to it is like we look at it kind of like a game board, or like chess pieces, And there's a lot of characters and a lot of places to move around and play with stuff.
Well, there's that hint of political maneuvering too, which I loved about it, and it's just almost just hinted at in the book. Which I love political intrigue in a book, whether that's regardless of the genre. That just really makes it really entertaining when I'm reading that, and I love seeing that political intrigue in there. So in this one, there's just that slightest hint of it. There's these little droplets of political maneuvering, and I'd love to see that expanded upon in the next book. Hopefully,
the political maneuvering was like started amping up towards the end.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Like it started amping
Yeah.
up. Like I'm like, okay, I'm getting it, and then it's just like the end. I know. I'm going to remind you a lot during this interview that you finished the book too quickly. So just get over it right now.
telling
Oh,
you, I can't wait to get it out.
No, do you think we're at the point where we should be telling them about or talking about the POV characters, book 2?
There's a lot of them. I'll tell you that.
Ooh.
That way, you're getting more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So like in the second book, of course you're going to introduce some more from new characters.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Looking forward to that.
Oh, that POV is always good. One of the things I loved about this book is, and I'm not going to say who because don't want to spoil it for anybody. But there's one character one character that has a husband. So the LGBTQ representation in the book I thought was really well done. And I love that about it because I just don't feel like there's enough literature out there where these things are represented as just completely normal. At least I haven't read a lot. And a lot of times in some of the books I've read, it's really been something that's been representative wrong or deranged or abnormal or something like that. So I love seeing that character portrayed where it was just normal. Like it was not questioned. It was just accepted and no more abnormal than a husband and wife. And I love that representation in that. So, what I guess, is there any particular reason why you thought to include that type of relationship in there in the way that you presented it? Was there, what was your thought process behind that?
So I think for myself, when creating that character, it felt like they needed their companion. So I really wanted them to have their person that helped balance them. And I thought with the setting in general, one, I like to have we want to have representation in the book. We don't want to just have this standard way that fantasy's always been told and pretend as if there's no other way to tell the story. So that was a piece of it. But the biggest piece was the character. It was who he was. And part of who he was his husband. In that way that it defines so much of the story and so much of his story, I thought just mattered. And then from there, that's when the subplots were able to get created. And then his main plot of his story ends up spawning from that point because it leads to the conflicts that exist with the world, with all the gods and the kings and the expectations. So I think that was a big reason.
100%. And I love the way you use that character setup as kind of the reason why this character's father was so determined for him to, have an heir through other means. So hopefully they're a very vague spoiler, I guess, sort of.
We have to snip it. We have that snippet out.
Yeah. But, it's an interesting way to set that up because in so many other different fantasy writings where, getting an heir is a problem, it's not because they're in a gay relationship. And this was a very different setup on that. And definitely the balance between the two characters. I mean, the one is just, well, let's face it, this character has serious father issues. He's angry all the time. I would describe him as insane, whereas his partners is definitely the more rational, calm, quiet side. And it's just a complete opposite contrast. It makes you wonder how the hell did these two get together to begin with? But it's really interesting the way that was set up for the reason why this particular character wasn't having any children, which was part of the conflict between them and their father. So that's a really interesting way you created that aspect in conflict within the story, and I really liked how you did that as well. So that was awesome.
Thank you.
Just a few weeks ago when it was like a Pride Month, they were celebrating Pride and stuff. I was on the comment section of one of the booktuber that was talking about it, and I was just like, wow, I need to read more books with LGBTQ representation. And without even knowing, I just read this one, and I was just like, okay, yeah, I can say I have now.
Yeah, and I think it's a big piece of literature that's missing sometimes, and we didn't want to make it the only thing that's about that character. And I think that his personality shines through no matter what.
Yes.
But,
Like
but
sometimes to the fear with stuff like that, and as a black person, like as a minority, I'm sure you could be able to relate with it. Is that sometimes when like a character like of minority or like that is not usually like included in like stuff like that. Like when they write it in such a generic way. They write it in a way that is just like just like the stereotypes, you know. And I like the way you like it's just like normal. Like it's just like this is his life, you know. It's not like a special consideration, you know. So I feel like you guys pulled that off really well as well.
Oh,
thank you.
beautifully. Love that aspect of it. One question I want to ask you guys is, what did you find was your biggest challenge co-writing this book together?
Yeah, there were challenges. That laugh, you see that laugh right there? There were, yeah.
Brothers, we have 100% open lines of communication. That's not great all the time with your brothers.
I have a brother. I know.
Since we were kids, so we knew what we were getting into. It was fun, actually. I will say part of this, the beginning of the process of writing this book, was like some of the best times of my life. But you know, going through the publishing process, the business side of it, he's a lot more organized than I am. I'm a lot more of a storyteller than a marketer. Yeah, we just try to stay balanced and stay less stressed as possible.
Yeah, I definitely say one of the biggest issues that we ran into. It wasn't so much the plot, because we kind of outlined that before we started. Certain things end up happening that we didn't plan for necessarily, but we're always cool with rolling with the punches and just like trying to figure out. At one point, they were just a character that refused to be on the battlefield, so he just couldn't be there, and that just changed a lot of things about the original plot of the story. But yeah, it was just really just being able to talk to each other, communicate, and then the publishing process. The writing process was pretty easy. We went back and forth really often. I think when we started writing, we did a chapter a night. So every day we would send each other a chapter. So we were going through the book pretty quickly. It only took about a month and a half to actually write.
Wow.
But
editing took a lot longer than writing.
Editing took a lot longer.
Getting the story down onto paper, and you know, and then the editing process was the extensive part, really.
Yeah,
Wow.
there were a few scene rewrites. Once we got some feedback from our beta readers, I think the toughest part was really just getting through the editing process, because you tell yourself the story, you go through it, you try to figure it out, but then when you get to the end, you're just trying to clean it up. You're trying to make it read. We really wanted it to read fast. We wanted people to be able to binge read it and get through. So then that also played a role. We didn't cut much from the book at all. It was just making it as clean as possible on the first go around, knowing it was the first book we were publishing.
Yeah, it's definitely binge-worthy book. I'd say it's easy to read. It is definitely quick to read for sure. Which, you know, if you're looking for a short, quick, easy fantasy book to read, and a good one, this is definitely one to check out for sure.
With the very good political intrigue, and like I would say, it's intense battle scenes as well. And you already said you didn't take out a lot, but like, so sometimes when I write, like I have a not a problem, but like I'm trying to understand what the balance between exposition and like just like writing like what is happening at the moment, you know. So like sometimes what I do is that I write it how I want to write. Like I just write it normal, and then like I remove a lot of exposition afterwards, because you don't want to like spoon feed your readers, right? And then some other times and that's when I'm thinking like more like world building, like on a Brandon Sanderson level, because I heard he does some exposition as well. But then like I understand not to spoon feed my readers, so like I'm either on that extreme of exposition and then I fix it during editing, or sometimes when I'm writing, I just don't put any exposition, but like when I give it to people to read, they don't have any context. So some of the critique they give me is like, well, like this doesn't make sense, and I'm like, well, if I just put a little bit of exposition there, it would have, you know. So like, how do you? What would you say like was key to like giving people information in a way that was palatable without so much exposition?
I would say the most important part of that was the planning of what scenes would happen at what time. We started off that where we started it off because we needed people to learn those things at that time from that event. You know what I mean? From that ceremony that was occurring. So we felt like if you saw through that particular character's POV at that time, you'd learn that much about the world that would be enough to go into that next character's life and kind of have a feel of what's going on. So I guess just picking what scene is occurring to explain the exposition in a way.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was like every single scene we were trying our best to give you either some character development or some exposition, but in an interesting way. So you had to experience that specific scene for it. One that comes to mind, we have a conversation in Asher's point of view when he talks to another queen. It's exposition's being dropped, but it's in such a funny situation or circumstance that by the time you get to the point where you're learning more about the world, it's in this way that Asher's reacting and you're getting an interesting conversation, but it's a plot that our beta readers, they actually said they wanted more information at that point. So that's when we threw it in there. We wrote that after getting a bunch of feedback that they needed more. So
I will say that Ascension ceremony, that was way too quick for me. It was like, it felt like it was over in a page. And, you know, and this seems to be such a huge part of the world that you're building is the ascension of kings to gods. And it was just over so quick. And I remember the first and second time I read it, I'm like, wow, that was quick. It feels like there should be a lot more to that. And definitely I can see the aspect or the importance of that in the world building aspect of the story. Now, one way I love books that build a world through learning through the world through the characters rather than just massive info dumps. You can have a little bit of a mix of both, but when I'm learning about the world through the characters and what they're doing and where they're going, I like learning more about that. That's part of what Wheel of Time is awesome for. It definitely has its exposition, but you learn a lot about the world through what the characters are doing.
It's funny, I was going to mention it because Wheel of Time, I won't lie, like sometimes like you enter into a room and he's describing the embroidery on the curtain and the color of thread, and I'm just like, like can something happen already? Like, but I really love the Wheel of Time. I love the Wheel of Time. Don't get me wrong at all. But like
my first impression of it too was incredibly wordy. I was most impressed by the aspect of being able to kind of give exposition in a way, but through voice and really not trying to spoon feed, but in a way just talk about what's going on. You might just talk about how villagers behave a couple of villages over, you know, or how they might respond to a situation that's going on or be expected to. And so you learn that much more about that village. So little things like that. The goal though with the inspiration is exactly what you said, to not be so wordy about it.
Yeah, like I mean, like 100%. Like the Wheel of Time has one of the best worlds in all of fantasy.
Yeah,
but like if like, so I'm the kind of guy that if I read through something and it's not clear in my head, I'll go back and read it again and when I'm doing that, because I'm trying to picture how he wants me to see the curtains or like the carpet, I'm just like, shoot me already. But like yeah, I liked how you delivered information. And something else I liked about the book, but it was too short, was like I liked the character dynamics you were trying to that you guys like kind of established between the characters. Like damn it, man, I have notes here, but I'm not gonna look at them right now because I like the flow right now. But basically, right, all the POV characters, right, have have like a character like with them that is basically revealing their character, like shining more light on who our main characters are, and it's you're doing it through like the relationship, like for instance, like Eamon is his sister, and like his first, you know, like how his relationship between them, and how he's thinking about the situation and everything. Like it's like, okay, this dynamic is very is fun. You know, like I would have just liked to see it like stretched out a little bit, you know, being tested in more situations, so that like the character itself becomes more fleshed out. But yeah, that was another. I like the character dynamics you established between the characters, and this guy's relationship with his Asher's relationship with his dad. Oh, like that was like,
man.
yes, like I understood why like he was the way he was. Like it just made perfect sense, you know.
That guy needs some serious mental health.
Yeah, man, I think his. I don't think mental health. I don't think like therapy will cut it at this point. I think it's gone.
Yeah,
Probably
Asher and his father. I knew that relationship was going to be huge, and I thought the interesting thing. We actually talked about this when we were writing. I was like, Asher's father is not even going to be in the picture in the first chapter for him, so it's like you don't even get him until later, and then by the time you do, you know who he is immediately. And he just referenced in his first chapter, and I think that it's just because of how important that relationship is. Just like Aaron and Jenna, their dynamic. For me, it mattered a lot because those two, she is the character that he confides in for the most part, and because of that, you get so much from every time they're on page together, and I get to put them on page often.
Let me say something sneaky that only us who have read it will understand. But Amon's character, right? Like Amon, like there was a perspective of Amon I had, and then like you said, like his first that he like reveals information to, like when he revealed like some things in his past, I was like, okay. Like this guy is a lot more interesting than you see, and you did all that stuff like towards the end, man. Damn you guys, man.
There's a lot that needs to be built on in the beginning. We had to ramp up, and I think the end. There's so much that finally gets to come out because we knew that the end was going to be important to get people interested in the series. Because in the beginning, we were trying to establish a little bit of the world, a little bit of the nuance and the problem that they were dealing with. And then by the end, we were like, okay, by the time we get to the second book and the rest of the series, I want people to really feel like, you know, that first book left me in a place where I had to get to the second. I had to at least read the second. And if we can get you there, then that means that we can do a lot more in the second book. We can give you a lot more of the world, a lot more of the story. We can pace things in a way that still has an interesting conflict, but also gives you something.
It's interesting the prospect of what you can do in the future with a little bit more investment from the readers when they've already gotten through book one. You know?
And
well, I know I'm looking forward to book two.
Yeah, 100%. And just to touch on that again, like not just what he revealed to her, but also her reaction to it. I was like, okay, I like this, you know, like, you know, like I like that relationship. It's like, yeah, like I like that relationship, but then the other relationships in the book as well, like I feel like they were really well done. I just want to explore it a bit more in the second book. Do you guys have a release date for that one?
We don't have a firm release date right now. One of the books is with beta readers right now, so we are on the beta reader phase. One of the manuscripts is completely finished. The other one's almost done. So I'm hoping for September or August.
Oh, so this year.
Yeah, this year. Awesome. We're ready. We're moving along. So
drop me a message as soon as it's available. I'll go onto Amazon and buy it.
Oh yeah, they're definitely going to be. We're definitely excited because a lot of the story is like there's so much that gets told, and I don't even want to talk about the second one yet because it goes to places that I think are the ideas are so interesting that we get.
This book feels like a trailer for the series.
You know something.
It's like a trailer.
You know something, like if you watch my channel, like you will see like I'm really into grimdark. I'm really like and I can see the book taking like a dark turn, and I'm super excited about that. Let me just say that, like the way it ended, like oh my god, the description, man, my boy,
yeah,
yo man, and then his ring fell into my god, you guys killed me there. I was just like, damn it. But like my biggest beef with the book was that it's too short. But like I hope I'm looking forward to the next one for real. When that one is out, I want like an early copy. I want to get it before anybody else gets it. So
definitely.
Oh, 100. Can I just ask, what's up with Queen Mary?
Queen Mary.
I know, right?
Whose idea was it for Queen Mary?
When they introduced her, I was like, I think I'm in love.
Queen Mary has an interesting beginning because he didn't even know about her. He didn't know until he read that she was going to be a character.
Let me just say. As someone who's co-authored this, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't know until I read it myself too. I got reviews. So that's how we like to write. We try to surprise each other a little bit too.
So it's fun. It's fun for the both of you. Yeah. I can see that. Like, wow, you guys must have like really good like chemistry. Pull that off because I mean like. Like me when I'm writing, like I switch off all the lights, see this red light, just red all over the place. And I'm writing my grim dark, killing characters off and doing like bloody stuff. But for you guys to be able to coordinate writing and like do it on the level that you did it on your first book as well, like man, I think you both of you have a lot of potential.
Thank you.
Like, do you feel like in the future you'll be doing like separate stuff, or are you guys like a duo all the way?
Oh, we'll do it together and separate. It's mostly just about getting the most content we can out. If he comes to me if I come to him and I say, hey, I got this character, I really want to explore the storyline, I just get a thumbs up. Can't wait to read it. So we just get to keep going separately together.
Yeah, another thing that's pretty fun is we give ideas to each other on the storylines anyway. So if he brings up if he has an interesting character and an interesting plot, then we're gonna talk it through. We're gonna add subplots. We're gonna do all these everything to create the story at the very end. Like even this book.
Yeah, for book 2, I came to him. I was actually pretty nervous to even come to him with it, and I said, "Hey, all jokes aside, I have a POV story line that I've always wanted to tell, like a certain type of story that I've always wanted to tell." Told him it, and then he sits on it, calls me back, and he says, "Okay, I know how you can do this. I know how we can get this done." So it's a nice process because I can attempt something myself, and then it's like I have a second person to bounce those ideas off of and get it refined. And we both care about each other's storylines just as much as as if we were writing it.
So usually, right, like when it comes to like stories that are like plot based, that are like all sequence of events have been planned, like I usually judge plot based books by how easy they are to predict. Now, they are like there are certain books I've read. I don't know. Have you guys read A Hero with a Thousand Faces?
No.
Okay, it's Joseph Campbell, and then it's basically I've been talking about this book in all my interviews lately, but and I think it's because I read a book that was very predictable. Like I'm reading a series that I can just and they set up in the beginning, and I'm like, this is how it's going to end. But anyway, he has this theory about so he went to different cultures, like really old guy, like the very old book, but basically he went to different cultures in different parts of the world, and he basically collected all the stories that were significant, right? That were like significant in forming the culture and were popular. And what he did was that he broke down the plots of all of them. Now, these cultures never interacted in real life. As far as as far as history is concerned, this these stories, these cultures never interacted, but they all had the same plot. So the idea he was going for when he was writing that book was that, okay, there's a story that we are programmed to want to hear. Like this is subconscious, unconscious. Like stories are super deep, and I don't want to get into the deepness of stories right now. But like after you read that book and all the plot points and how they are expressed becomes like when he articulates it for you and you read it. When you're reading a book, you can just be like, this is what is happening. Oh, this is what is happening. Oh, this is the hero's journey, and this is. But I, from start to finish, I didn't know whether I'm not going to swear on this thing, but like I didn't know where you guys were going at all. And at the end, I was just like, yo, now I'm here. Now what? You know,
Unpredictability is a good thing.
It's such a good
thing. It makes the story so much more interesting.
It's such a good thing. Like I don't really care. I'm not like the kind of person that is like, oh, make your story has to be 100% unique, and like, nah. I feel like everybody's copying from someone. Like whether I feel like it's your ability to mask it or your ability to express it in a way that no one else has expressed it. You know, like reading your stuff, I don't even know any connection. I'm just like, wow, this is a pure story, you know, which I appreciated about it.
Yeah, thank you.
I think it's safe to say Epic is impressed.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it because
but Drew, it's their first book though. Yeah. It's their first book.
Yes,
that was a big part of the story was how do we make this interesting enough, and especially the end. It's sticking the landing. It's figuring out how do you tell a story that no one's ever heard before. How do you lead all of these POVs to one place, and how do you make them interact in an interesting way? And I think by our ending, when you finally get to that moment where what happens, and then the fallout of that being so swift, to say it like slightly, it's like, what is going on? And then you end off where we end off, and I think every story kind of leaves in this place where you didn't know what would happen, and if you did think you knew what would happen, you didn't expect it to happen in the way it actually did.
See, I just want to know about the origins of the High Council. Like, it's
I want a bigger. Yes, I want a bigger.
I need an origin story.
Yeah. I need
you guys write one.
I want to understand the structure of it, and I also want to understand how, because y'all talked about like a little bit about you guys kind of talked a little bit about how it kind of started, but not really. You know, I want to understand, like, okay, this is how it's set up. I want to understand. Y'all mentioned some stuff about immortality. I want to really understand. I want to understand if that is just like because I'm still not sure if these guys like have magic, but like they are just like, you know, later reveal or not. Either way, I think is good. But like I want to understand if it's just all propaganda, or if it's these guys have just not seen a reason to do anything, because like I've seen from the perspectives of the POV characters, like they are two very different perspectives. Like Aaron, like his perspective is a bit like he believes and everything, you know, and then like the other guy is just like, nah, like this stuff is, you know. So I want to see. I feel like the story could go either way in that particular aspect, and I'm curious. I'm really curious about the setup of the God Ascendant. That's a really cool name, by the way, God Ascendant or the Ascendant. Well, what is it again? Something Ascendants.
Yeah, you're talking about the all beings.
Yeah, the all beings. The all beings. I like your choice of language as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing's going to be confirmed, that you'll definitely explore that immortality a little bit more in book 2.
Yeah.
That is there.
I'm looking forward to that because so much's been hinted.
Can I? Okay, I sorry, Drew. I know I'm not letting you talk, but like, I'm sorry. But can I make some projections? And you don't have to just wink at me if I'm right, or actually don't. But after I read it, then maybe we can just like you message me on Instagram or tell me I got it or I didn't get it. But is there like a thing to like climbing the mountain and then getting some kind of like going there and then like this, I don't know if there's a cauldron or there's like a basin of like water of life of immortality kind of stuff, and then when you take it you now become like, is that like the purpose of going there, or is it just all for show, or is it like, wow, Jahmar's poker face is just too hard, man. You're smiling. I can't say anything. This guy has like a blank expression on his face. So, but like, yeah, like I'm really curious to learn more about that.
Bravo. Read and find out.
Oh.
There's a lot that gets explored. I think we get to have a lot more fun.
A lot of those questions are book 2 is gonna be there. So
okay.
Sure. Answered, and there will be more questions. That's all I'm going to say.
And there will be more
questions. I bet there will be more questions. I will say one thing. Aaron's flashbacks or his dreams that he has about events that happened in his past, that really seemed to be setting up something for the overall story arc from my perspective there. So it was an aspect of the story we knew it was going on, but in the actual events going on, in the waking world, it didn't really seem to have much of an impact, but it felt like it was setting up for something that maybe you guys are planning for books 2 or 3 down the road. Am I kind of on the right track there? Or is it another read and find out?
So I feel like
everything is something you should read. You should read all of the books.
Major poker face on these.
You see. There's a thing there, right? I feel like that. Okay, so I was always asking myself, okay, why is he having these dreams, right? Why is it like? Is it before I knew that he was dreaming about his brother, I was like, okay, like who is that character? Because the first time it's mentioned, you just mentioned his name. You didn't say it was his brother. So I'm like, and then I find out it's his brother. And then when he confides, when he talks about it, like that whole setup of like the dreaming about it and like the guilt and that whole like that alone was like a small payoff that I really appreciated, because like it was kind of it shone light on his character more, like, and in a different direction to anything he had showed us before that point. So like that in itself, like I don't know if that's the end of it, but like if that was the whole point of that setup with the dreams, or if there's even more to it, like Drew asked you. So is he in the right direction?
I think you touched on something that's really important. That piece really was in place for Aaron to give you that like final understanding of why he's been behaving in such a way the whole book. Because it's this unknown piece of his identity that you just don't understand until he actually gets to talk about it. And I think it adds clarity at the end.
It's like because I kept asking myself, okay, what is the point of this? The first time he had a dream, I'm like, okay, he has God blood, so does that mean he's having a vision and he's looking into the future? Like, was that because I don't want to spoil it, but yeah.
It was interesting for sure. Well, we're getting to the end of our hour here, and it's been a great conversation. Epic, you certainly had lots of great stuff to say, as well as you, Jahmil and Jahmar. So, I definitely want to thank you all for joining on this live stream as we have this conversation. If you have not picked up War in the Fallows, have not read it, I have put the Amazon link in the description below. So you could go check it out, buy it, read it. It's well worth it. These two brand new authors have definitely got some potential. So when you guys become New York Times bestsellers, remember that you're on my channel first.
I know. No. When you guys become you see, it's gonna start from this. It's gonna start from this, live stream, and then like everyone will be like, "Damn, what is Epic and Drew talking about?" And then y'all are going to blow up, and then I'll message you on Instagram, and you don't reply me. And Jahmar, I'm going to send you a video. Just cut the clip of when you were saying, "Oh, we're very humble writers," and so don't let me use that to haunt you. And Drew, I actually apologize. My excitement, like I feel like I took over your interview. I'm sorry. I'm just excited.
Awesome.
No, it's all good. That's awesome. I invited you on because I knew you were an aspiring writer, and this would be a great opportunity to talk to some great writers that are just starting their careers. So thank you guys for joining me. Did you want to take a few moments just to tell everybody where they can find you? You got a website, YouTube channels of your own there, Jahmil and Jahmar?
Yeah, so you can find me inspiredbyjahmil.com. Also find me on Instagram at inspiredbyjahmil. You can listen to my podcast. I have a Books by Authors podcast where I interview some really cool authors. A lot of them are independent, so you get a really good idea about self-publishing and the process of writing. So it's really cool. I think I have 20, 25 or 30 episodes now. So definitely check that out. It's on Spotify and Apple Music. And definitely pick up War in the Fallows. Book 2 is coming soon. I'm hoping for September. I think that it'll be out and be ready. The next cover is going to be amazing. I can't wait for everyone to see it. So definitely be on the lookout.
I'm excited for that for sure.
Wait, are you all self-published?
Yes.
Ooh.
The first one is self-published.
Ooh, that's fire.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. This has been a lot of fun, and it's been great. And you too. Always remember you got the distinction of being my first author interviews on this channel. So I'll remember that when this channel gets super big and you guys are here. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Signing off now. Have yourself a great day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can join me over on the Discord as well. That'll be linked below, as well as my Patreon if you're so inclined. Thank you so much, and everybody have a great day. Bye.
What is the Mr. Car?